$580 and.
They did their
Nothing. All the stuff.
Oh, yeah. If I take him
Yeah.
So you see anybody over beside us?
Almost time to start. This will be in the project, so
Okay.
it would be too early because we may not need to put those trees in until next year sometime. So it'd be too early this year to do anything, you know. Mm-mm. No, she said just have an idea. She said we needed to have an idea of where so she could put something on the permit paperwork. Yep.
Can you hear us?
We on? All right. I'm glad you reminded me. I'm a scatterbrain today anyway. Do I need a new battery?
Here's, I don't know.
He's not.
He's not. Oh, okay.
Is this for the wastewater?
Sorry about that. I should have shut my phone off. Yo, Wes, I'm at a meeting right now. Okay, bye. What do you do when your children call you? I guess tell got a quick meeting. Oh shoot, yeah, it's turned off.
Yeah.
All right, I believe 6:30. You ready? You ready? I will call to order the April 10th, 2023, 6:30 p.m. meeting of the Westport Town Council. And before we begin the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, I would like a moment of silence for those that were shot down in Louisville, and also the police officer that was newly on duty, and he was killed as well. And so we'll have just a moment of silence at the beginning for them. All right, if you will, we'll stand and say pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Is there any addition or corrections to last month's meeting? I mean, minutes.
I have no addition or correction, so I make the motion that we move.
I will second that motion. All in favor? Aye. Okay, have you had a chance to read the payroll vouchers, adjustments, and monthly bills?
I have, and I agree that I make a motion that we accept them as sent to us.
Pay them all? Okay, I will second that as well. All in favor? Aye, and we will sign those at the end of the meeting. Okay, Rachel, you're up. Yep, please.
All right. I don't have a ton to talk about. I passed out a little summary on the wastewater improvements project. We had an update meeting last Thursday. Talked through kind of the where the project stands, and right now it's in the permitting phase, permitting and easements. I summarized kind of what we talked about on there. There's a couple of items that I know Harry and Damon are looking into, mainly for the DNR permit. So I can go into more details on any of these items if you'd like. The other couple of items I put on here, just regulatory updates. We did talk about this on Thursday as well. IDEM has issued a requirement to do a service line inventory. I talked to Jay. I think he's already getting going with the Alliance. Alliance is offering free assistance for that. So just to keep it on your radar.
It's something that people don't understand and they don't know exactly. Would you explain what we're going to have to do?
Sure. So the EPA has a mandate called the lead and copper rule, and they've issued an update to it. The update actually came out at the end of, I don't think it was the end of last year. I think it was earlier than that, and it's been reviewed going through EPA. One portion of it is final, and it has come to our state, well, to all the states, and IDEM has told us how to meet this requirement. And this requirement is that the town has to put together an inventory on the drinking water side of everybody's service line. So the line that goes from the town's line out in the road all the way to your home. And the inventory is strictly based on the materials, and it just says, what is that pipe made out of? The big purpose being that, if it is a material that is known to be a potential hazard, the next step is removal of it. But right now, the big key is that the town has to go through and figure out what everybody's material is by October of next year. So it's not a small undertaking. And there'll probably be some guidance and stuff issued in the mail. I'm not sure. I think right now they're just in the early stages of trying to figure this out based on records, but it is important to know. So.
And you were talking about it could expand to what? Well, when we talked about it could be expanding the test each year.
Yeah. So depending on how thorough the records are, and if people know what their materials are, and we can document it. If there's anything that we don't know, or if it is a material that's potentially a hazard, obviously the town will then have to test that and make sure the water is still safe. And part of it is, and this is where it gets really, really tricky, is part of it's the town's property and part of it is could be the homeowner's property. And the inventory will cover hopefully both of those pieces, just so we know what it is. The next step is trying to figure out what to do about it. And, hopefully everybody's service lines is a safe material and there's nothing to worry about. But if there's any that they don't know or that are found to be one of the materials that we don't use anymore, it'll have to do increased testing at those locations, which is all for the benefit of, making sure everybody has safe drinking water. The other big component of this rule is increased testing at our childcare facilities and schools. So again, all in the effort of making sure that drinking water is safe at everybody's
And it seems like
source.
some of those pipes and lines have been in long enough for them to contain lead and stuff, so we want to make them all safe.
Mm-hmm, that's right. And so even if the pipe itself isn't lead, there was a certain period in construction history when they put leaded joints on the, so all of that's a concern, and it's not, even if it is lead, it doesn't mean that lead is getting into the water. That's what the testing will determine, because all the fairly recent history we had with Michigan and Flint, that all has to do with the makeup of the water And since you guys haven't changed the source water, nothing in the chemistry has changed. So it's not a concern at this point, but this first step is just figuring out what's out there. So I assume, and I'm happy to work with you guys if you want to, there is the component of getting the public's input on what's on their side. So I know some communities have sent out mailers or talked to people and to try to figure out what's on the home side. But that's kind of the second step to it.
All right. But you have any questions?
Yeah. So the town's already started working on assembling a list because they have to put every single connection, even if it's not a home. So even, this building, the park, anything that's connected has to go on the list. So they've already started putting together the list. The next step will be looking at records. So the town has some really good records as far as when homes were connected and that type of thing. So they'll look at those, try to determine everything they possibly can without, being invasive or having to do any digging or anything. And then the next step is what do we do with the ones that we can't figure out? So, and it's not due to the state until October of next year. So we have about over a year to work on this. So.
All right.
And then the last piece I put on here is just a reminder about the regional planning meetings. Again, the state is just, reminding us that they want us to attend these regional meetings every year. So there's a list of meetings if you go to that link.
I had a question, Rachel, and Joyce might. When we was talking about replanting trees in the tree location in the floodplain, do we have to have that done before the DNR permit? And we have to say, okay, we want these trees in this area?
That's ideally, yes.
Would they give us a permit without that?
No, we're gonna have to tell them somewhere. We don't have to have, official, like, this is it, we're putting X trees here and X trees there, but we need to tell DNR where they're going. And then if
And do they give you time to get them here? I mean.
so they don't have to be, you mean actually put the trees, install or plant
Yes.
the trees? Yeah. So we only have to replant the trees if we have to cut one down.
Okay.
So during the project, if they have to cut a tree down that's in the floodway, then we'll have to replant. So in order for us to even get the permit to cut down any trees, if we need to, we have to say, theoretically, if we cut down all these trees, here's where we would replant them. It's 2 steps ahead of where we actually are, but yes, we need to determine at least a space big enough that we would have permission to plant some
Now, if
trees.
we cut down a tree, you have to put a tree back where you cut it down?
5 of them.
Yeah, but.
No,
I
it
mean,
doesn't
you
have to
want
go.
it out of the floodplain, we don't want to put one right back there.
Right. So the trees we would be cutting down would be only because they are on top of our sewer line. And obviously we don't want to put a tree right back there. So you can plant it anywhere in the floodplain, floodway that we have permission. And yeah, the mitigation is 5 to 1. So every one tree we cut down, we have to plant 5 new ones. And that's just because these are, the trees we're cutting down they only count the ones that are bigger than 10 inches
Right.
they call it at breast height, so at chest level, 10-inch diameter. So any of them that are smaller than that don't need mitigation. I think that's probably why they do the 5 to 1, because they assume you're going to cut down some smaller ones also. And I did ask, what if some die? And the requirement is they're looking for an 80% success rate. So they want 80% of them to live 3 to 5 years. So.
Well, that's what I was concerned about. Yeah, and how many trees Joyce says, no, she didn't know, meaning how many trees we're going to replant?
We estimated the maximum amount. So I think the max we said was 135.
135
Yeah,
trees.
which is a lot of trees.
And saplings we'll put back.
We have some access though to Arbor.
They gave us a list. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can go
Dean-
to some Arbor things
Yeah.
though. and
Okay.
get some, I mean, you don't have to pay $50 a tree.
DNR provide, were kind
Yeah,
enough to provide us with a list
yes.
of trees that they're
Um,
approved to put them back.
Usually we can do it however you guys would like. At this point, all we need to do is figure out where we would put them,
That's,
which is, it's a lot of trees, so.
and we need to do that as quickly as possible. correct?
Hopefully, before May, because that is when they've asked for a response to the permit.
And does it have to be along the floodplain?
Yes,
That's-
yeah, I think I gave a map at that meeting. I
Yeah.
had like a blue colored area,
All right.
so.
Yeah.
And like I said, we don't have to have like official, if we could pick out a couple locations, give it to DNR, they'll approve it, and then we can go about getting it, figuring out how many trees go on what property.
Damon, is that possible to get that done by May?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. Well, I got about 2 weeks to do it in. All righty. Was there any questions for, yeah, there's a question right there.
I did see that, yep. Yeah. Well, I talked to Jay about it. I think it's because the TTHM violation is it 1 quarter behind? So it's the end of last year. I think we were still working through just some issues out at the plant. I had a conversation with the powder activated carbon manufacturer, supplier, and he's supposed to make a visit to the water plant to talk to Jay. He hasn't done that yet, but he had some ideas about potentially increasing usage of that to remove some more of that on the front end. I also have been attempting to set up a call with the GAC, the granular activated carbon manufacturer, to talk about it, and I just can't get them. Too many people trying to get on the phone at the same time, so that meeting hasn't happened yet, but hopefully this week. Yeah, the plant has the processes it needs to get rid of this. It's just optimizing it. I think a big part of it is contact time, which, basically how long the water stays in the treatment. And I think we just need to figure out what that magic number is. I think IDEM also had some suggestions to Jay for some things they could tweak at the plant, so.
Anyone else? You have any questions? All righty, Rachel, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is Beth. You're up.
Hello. I have, we had the house inspection in March as requested. It was done by Huey House Inspections. Huey was referred to me by Kenny Buning.
Mhm.
And I have a statement here saying that the structure and foundation of this property are in satisfactory condition. If you'd like to.
Yes, please. Thank you. All right, go ahead, Beth.
I mean, there are still obviously things to be done in the interior. There are a few modifications to the outside, but the point of the inspection was to determine that the structure was sound, and it was determined to be sound.
Right. Yeah, I see on here, it says rehab of all systems and interior components is needed.
Yeah,
And the inspection Damon gave us, we knew that, Beth.
yes.
Next question would be, or is your father committed to rehabbing all this and getting this done?
Yes, he
And is
is.
he okay? But I
Yes,
know
he
it's
is.
a costly endeavor to get this
Yes, it is.
rehabbed.
Yes, it is. His request is, because he does want to move forward with it, but he would like for there not to be major restrictive timelines, because he's getting older, he's getting tired, and it just takes a lot out of him.
What is the timeline he's requesting now?
Well, he'd like for there not to be any, to be quite honest.
Beth, here's a problem with that. If we give him an unrestricted timeline, then the next time we have a person come to this town council meeting, the first thing that's going to come out of their mouth, you gave them an unrestricted timeline, why aren't you giving us a restricted timeline? And I don't know how Joyce feels about it, but I believe we have to have some type of time frame. It's a commitment, or it doesn't look like you're actually committed to doing anything. If we leave it open-ended, timeline to what, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? You know, how open-ended did he want this?
Well, I mean, he's 90 years old and he wants to see
Right.
it completed in
Well,
his
I understand
lifetime,
that.
so
So
we're not
he's-
talking 10 years.
He's under a time constraint anyway.
Correct.
But I can't see where we can leave this open-ended, Beth. I really can't. Because exactly, if we do that, we'll set a precedent. And if we set a precedent, then we have other people on down the line want that same kind of precedent.
I understand that.
And-
I do understand that, but it's just a
That's my
shame that,
reason- That's my reasoning behind it.
it's just a shame that someone who's done,
I appreciate what you had done. It looks so much better, and the neighbors really do appreciate what you've done. But I see no way, say, it looks nice on the outside, but what if nothing's ever done to the inside for 10 years? Is it even going to be?
well, we're not going to do nothing for 10 years. I mean,
Where's the rest of this report? Because at the top, it gives a code of all the different things that he would look at. So are there
Yes.
more pages to this report?
yeah, there were.
We'd like to see the complete report.
All that was requested was for the structure soundness.
Which would be in a complete report, right? Not just one sentence at the top?
I mean, that's all you requested.
But-
I
I
think
guess
we should.
our-
Go ahead, Councilman.
About that, I guess the purpose of today, at least our understanding, was more with the statute or the ordinance talking about an unsafe building.
Correct.
We don't think it fits the category of an unsafe building. So from the town's perspective, as far as the sound foundation, we're of the opinion that we're in compliance with the ordinance. So I guess moving forward, as far as further repair, as far as the systems and actually make it habitable, may be an issue for certainly another day and a timeline for Beth and her dad to discuss. I guess from a legal position, that's, I guess, my position to the council respectively, that
So
we-
there will
we
be
believe
nobody
it.
live there? Is that what you said?
I mean, not anytime soon. I mean, we're not going to have somebody live there until it's
There's nobody
complete and
living there
ready.
now?
No.
The question is time frame, and without John being here this evening, I'd like to postpone that till next month when we have the full town council
Okay.
weigh in on it. I can't speak for a person that's a council member that's not here. My personal belief is we have to set some type of time frame on it. And because that assures us that the progress is being made to get this taken care of without it leaving open-ended. And Beth, another thing, and you know this too, another thing too is this is for, there'll be a new town council elected for next year too. And if we don't put some type of time frame on it, then that would throws it into the next town council. And I'd rather not put that burden on the next town council when this town council's been dealing with this problem. So if you can, you know, my feelings on it, Joyce, but without John weighing in on it, I think it's unfair for John not being here. And he couldn't make it because of other duties. If that's okay, we'll postpone discussing the time frame next meeting.
Okay.
And I really would personally like to see the whole report. not just the-
Yeah, that'd be another thing too, if you could bring that with you, the next town council meeting, Beth, the full
What you
report.
have done is amazing, so I wanna tell you that.
All right. Thank you.
That will weigh in on.
Is there any question, Councilor?
No, you're, no.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have a zoning permission, and the first one is Carol.
Carol Zaffe. I have Cross Creek Pickering here in Westport, and Krista called us just out of the blue and said that area planning needed to rezone our property. So I'm requesting that. They said I need to get a letter from the water company on that.
And for the benefit of the people that's sitting here too, been zoning it from what to what?
It is an R2, and they want to do a B2
R2 is residential, B2 would be with
business.
And I understand what you're needing. We have to, and she's met the setbacks, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't
That's all
don't
okay.
lie if you-
No, I mean,
No,
as
we
far
went
as
through
we
it.
know, nobody
And
said
so
anything. That's all
she
Krista
needs
said.
is a letter from us to take it back up to the zoning board.
Right.
Get zoned.
And
Change your zone.
Carol had asked before, and she wasn't able to make it at the last meeting.
It was my fault. I got the wrong date.
And that's fine, because we'll correct it this evening.
Sure.
And I told her I couldn't unilaterally approve that, because we'd also have to have, if somebody else was against this, they would have the right to speak as well.
Well, I make the motion that we go ahead and let her do this.
Well,
Um,
yeah, before we do that, I need to,
okay.
thank you. Is there anyone opposed to this ordinance? Zoning request? Okay, there being none, I guess
I
we're
will make
ready.
the motion that we approve with all of the setbacks met.
What's
Okay.
the address?
It's
I'll
309
second that, all approved.
South
Aye.
Range.
Carol, I'll ask you a question. That
Yes, sir.
house across the street from you that's unoccupied, is that,
There are two houses
there's
across from
two
me
houses?
that are unoccupied. One is my parents'.
Oh, is that because of the structural problems, or you just don't want to rent it out? or-
It's been too much for me to deal with it and rent it out. We're going to give it to our daughter, and hopefully she's going to redo it. We need to get it cleaned back up, but we've had so many different things going on. We haven't done it. And the other
Okay.
house on the corner, I don't know. They're redoing
Well,
it.
we, oh, you own that as well?
No, we don't.
Okay, okay. I was just curious, because I had other people ask me about it, and we're trying to encourage people within the town limits we're trying to build our community and,
Which we were, and I would rent it, but I tried that
you know,
and it didn't,
rented, yeah.
it didn't work out so well for me. And so now I'm just like,
It was willed to her. And then
Okay.
we've talked to a lawyer 3 or 4 times
right.
about getting into my name, but he's not quite as competent, so.
Just make sure the yard's mowed.
we do mow the yard. It's the other stuff that needs to be straightened up on it. And we're,
And the hot tub's turned upside down.
we are getting rid of it. It will be gone by
Okay.
next weekend, I
Well,
believe.
You've satisfied me, because other ones, and we've written letters to, that becomes a mosquito breeder.
Yes,
does.
and we know that, and we don't want that there either anyway. So we found someone that's going to take it off for
Oh,
us.
good. That saves me a drive-by on the golf cart and saying, hey, what's going on?
Oh, well, stop by anytime. If you
All
see
right.
something, let me know.
All right, I will, but thank you. And
Okay,
we'll-
thank you
we'll
so
get-
much.
We'll, Gloria get the letter, and then when she does, and I'll sign it. and
Okay.
You
Do-
can take it back.
I
up
can
here
pick it up?
and
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll let you know when it's
Yeah.
ready.
Okay,
Probably
thank you
tomorrow.
so much.
Yeah.
Okay, Jeff. Robin's here? Nope, I guess not. The reason Jeff would have been here, or should have been here, that there was that house fire up on North Street. I don't know if any of you noticed. Jeff has bought that house. He's going to tear it down and build another one right there. So I think he was asking for something about that. Okay, the alley closure petition on 107 West Sycamore. The people here on that.
I don't think they are, but I have here's the ordinance here, if you want to take a look at that.
All right.
Did we decide we were going to do it?
Last month, you guys approved
Sort of-
the alley closure, so this would be the formal ordinance to do it. And if you so choose, well, no, John's not here, so you won't be able to pass it this time. You'll have to do 2 readings. If he was here, you could choose to do 1 reading, but
Oh, boy, that'd be great. I might be going next month.
That's all.
It wouldn't make any difference, so it can be passed at the June meeting.
yeah,
No, May meeting. I want to talk about.
as long as you read it tonight and next month.
Oh, I think that's right. Okay, it's ordinance number 2023-3, ordinance vacating public way / alley. Whereas the petition has been filed with the town of Westport to vacate a certain public way alley, whereas notice has been given to all owners of land which about the property proposed to be vacated and published prior to the hearing on the petition is required by law. Whereas the Westport Town Council has determined that vacation of this public way / alley will not hinder the development of the area, nor hinder the public access to church, school, or other public building. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the Westport Town Council, Indiana, that the following public way alley shall be vacated. The public way alley running north-south east of parcel 16-18-01-110-009.00-014, wow, and west of the parcel 16-18-01-110.00-014, starting at West Sycamore Street and ending at the alley north of West Ray Street that runs east to west of South William Street. This land shall become the property of and shall be assessed for tax purposes to those owners of the land adjoining the vacated public way alley. These vacations are subject to the right of any public utility which is now using this property for the location and operation of its facility to continue to do so. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage. Do I have, oh, we got to pass it next time. This is the first reading. That's why Alex is always here. He keeps me straight on this stuff.
So you should probably still go ahead and have a vote.
We should have a vote.
On the first reading, so you have that in the minutes.
Okay.
And then upon the second vote, then it would then be passed.
Okay, thank you.
I make the motion that we pass the.
I will second that. All in favor? Aye. Okay, here we go. Next is a memorandum of understanding and agreement, associations of Indiana County Tax Refund Exchange and Compliance System. And if you would, Gloria, you're going to have to explain that one to me.
So this program came out about 3 years ago and is coordinated with the state to help utility companies and especially municipalities gather debts that have been delinquent for periods of time due to renters and people that are non-property owners. And the challenge is the town's main way of obtaining debt is either sending bill collection or putting liens on property. And these are people that are usually transient. Sometimes they jump states. Sometimes they don't give correct addresses and there's no way to hunt them down and get the money. So this is a program that is based on collecting debt by withholding the debtor's personal income through their tax refunds. So Senate Bill 515 amended the Indiana Code in April 2017 to grant units of local government authority to participate in the state's existing debt set-off program from incoming state tax refunds. So state agencies have been using this program for years, but now they've opened it up to where local municipalities and any county, town, city in Indiana can access this resource as well. It's no cost to register or to participate other than there is a little bit of a debtor notification fee that's passed on to the debtor when they collect those debts. They kind of gave me some talking points here to kind of go over, and it said that the Marion County's pilot resulted in just 4 different types of owed debts, which revealed them over $1 million in collection from just going through their program. So they've had some success with it. Let's see. They explain it as being an easy and free method for collecting small debts of as little as $25 or less that can be combined with other debts to meet the $25 threshold. This relates to us quite a bit because a lot of times we get water debts of $75 here or $50 there where they've moved and they left that final water bill. This program is through the state of Indiana, so they ask that we sign an agreement to participate in the program. We will also have to sign up through the Indiana Trust to receive the funding because the funding doesn't go directly to us. It goes into the Indiana Trust and then we access it from that. So here's the memorandum of agreement. And there's a second to the last page is where you would sign it, but you can take a look at that. And then here's the information about it.
Do we need John here to, or just he and I can do this?
I don't-
I don't know if anybody remembers, but not too awfully, well, maybe it has been a long time, I'm old. They used to be that men would run out and pay the child support. And this is how they got their child support paid for these women that had no money, trying to raise their kids. And so now they just went ahead with it a little farther, and now you can collect debts for your utility bills and stuff if you run out of them. And, you know, you hate to see anybody fall in hard times, but I want people to know that if you ever have trouble, come down and say something. Don't just let go. We can usually come to the conclusion of how to get it done. Some people just run out after.
Well,
A lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I have a motion on the
Doesn't
floor.
help. Doesn't help anything to do
No,
that.
it doesn't. Oh,
So anyway,
you make a motion?
I make a motion that we sign up for that.
I will second that motion. All in favor?
All right.
And the thing is, this impacts our community quite a bit because Westport's a little over 50% rental property. And because of that, we're always getting a churn over in people all the time. And then this happens, they take off and don't pay their water and sewer bill. And since we're a small community, that impacts the people that are paying the right way into their bills. And so this is definitely something we have to do.
It used to as well, that you could get sewer payment from the property owner of whoever rented that property, even if it was a renter on that property. But legislation changed that to protect landlords back in 2019, I think. And so that changed some of that too, which has made it even harder for us to try to get any payment back for, especially their final payments. They'd move out and there'd be 50 and 100.
I also know though that
We-
nowadays, if
Is
you,
that- Where do we sign?
Back there.
nowadays too, if you're having a lot of problem paying your sewer bill, and you can prove why you have, there's people out there to pay it. So you just need to call 211 and say, hey, I don't have any money for this and I can't have my water turned off. It will help you find some way to do it. But just to let it, just to
Okay.
ignore it isn't gonna work. Okay. This one. Right. Well, we decided on this one, didn't we? Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the Westport Police Department salary. Was that just salary only, or is it what we talked about as far as no longer contract? It's both?
It was
You wanna
the-
explain too?
During your executive session, you discussed raising the police department's, increasing their contract for this year by 6% or their
Right.
biweekly by 6%,
Right.
and then getting rid of the contract
Right, okay.
completely to to
Just
have
wanna
job
make sure that's
security.
clear.
And did anyone get to talk to Luke? Have you talked to him about it?
Yeah, I talked to him. about
Okay.
it.
So what do we do now?
So if you guys are wanting to do that, you need to propose it and make a motion and approve it
Okay.
and vote on it.
I propose, oh, we didn't have it written up.
Well, there was question about the ordinance salary that's already established, and if it went above that, we would have to rewrite the ordinance, but it
Right.
still is within the criteria.
All right.
Because right now, we have our town marshal is he can make a biweekly between 1,500 to 3,000, and the 6% still falls below that 3,000 by quite a bit.
All right.
And then the deputy marshal can make a biweekly amount of 1,400 to 1,700, and that just
First proposal,
barely
right?
falls under it.
I will propose that we increase the deputy marshal and the town marshal's pay by 6%.
I second that as we agreed at the
Executive session.
executive session.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next thing on that,
Harry, when would that start? As of tonight?
as of tonight.
Okay.
And the second thing on it, usually for every year, we've signed a contract with the town marshal. The reason for that is lost in history, except for people that weren't here a long, long time ago. I don't know. Do you remember what happened? And I was on the town council at that time too, and it might have been a knee-jerk reaction at the time. I thought it was a good idea considering what the town went through at that particular time. And I didn't want to see the town go through it again. So in order to mitigate the town trial that we went through so many years ago, we got in at 7:00 and we went out at 1 a.m. in the morning. And it was here at Town Hall, down here at the Community Building. So in response to that, and I admit I thought it was a good idea at the time, we retained the town marshal and the deputy marshal on the yearly contract. And what that was, and if we didn't have to renew it, if we didn't want to, and if they didn't want to renew it, they didn't have to. Well, times have changed since then with Luke, and Joe has been here a long time, and we'd like to give them some stability and say, well, this year you might go, or next year you might go, or whatever. We'd like to provide some stability to the town on that. So I make a motion. Would that be a rescinding? How would we propose that?
So when does the contract come up for renewal?
It'd be when, January next year?
You sign them in December for the new year. They're annual in January.
Okay. So the idea is you want to dissolve that contract?
Yes.
So the contract's a mutual agreement that you have with your deputy and with your town marshal. It seems to me that you need to have both have that document prepared that
Okay.
is presented to you so that you both are mutually
I got you.
consenting to rescind this contract, to dissolve this contract. I don't know, without having it in front of me, I don't know whether you have the authority to unilaterally dissolve that contract with nothing else already in place here. So that would be my suggestion. Now, you may want to go ahead then, and I'm not sure how your salary ordinance is currently written. You can work with Alex on that to be sure that you're complying, because once you dissolve that contract, then in order to, you'll have to comply with the state statute that says really the only way that you can then terminate your employee, your marshal or town marshal, will be then to go through the hearing process, and after finding that there's been a good reason and cause
Mhm.
for termination or demotion or discipline or whatever else you do, go through that process, because the public safety employees have very specific enumerated rights under Indiana code.
Well, see, what we had to do last time, you're right. We had the person in question, they had a right to attorney, which was provided by the FOP. We had our town attorney, and then the town council was the judge.
Right.
And it took, like I said, from about 7 o'clock in the evening to about 1 a.m. in the morning till we finally got the proceedings done.
Yep.
So in lieu of that, it was my idea. I didn't want to drag the town through that again, never again. So we went to a yearly contract. And subsequently after that, it was a good idea that we did. And that's why there was some discussion on with the two officers that we have now are different than what we had in the past few years, that we wanted to give them job security, and
Sure.
I think that we want to get that at the whim of whatever people that were in the office at the time, that they could be gone, and all the time they put in, and they would be gone. And that's what directed this.
Sure.
Okay.
We'll just table this until Alex gets back.
Yeah. So,
But know that this is what we're going to try to do for you.
all right.
Sure, that's something I'm sure he can put together, just a.
You know,
Yeah, it wouldn't take long.
Contact.
I think
all right.
you-
Do you have that down? We'll contact. So that's why I'm glad you're here this evening. That's, for those who don't know, this is Alex's father.
Yeah, I'm Alan, Whitty.
Yeah.
So I've been at it a little longer than Alex. We're proud of it.
Oh, that's wonderful. But the salary, we can work within our ordinance, because there was a range within the salary ordinance, and they're still under that. And this will come out of the police department budget itself. So we're safe on that, but the other one, we were unclear about as far as the contract. Thank you. Get Alex to work on that amongst many things I got lined up for him. Okay, next on the list is Westport Community Building Board of Directors Application Review. You seen
We have 5. And that's what we're looking for. Barb Winchester, Melissa Debbie, Karen Webster, Jennifer Hyde,
Rib.
Herbie.
Rib.
Rib,
Uh-huh.
it's got an H on it,
Yeah. Russian or Polish on.
and Luke Lozier.
Those are all the applications that you've
These
received.
are all the applications we have. And so we could.
didn't you say that Connie,
You guys had mentioned appointing
Yeah.
Connie.
did Connie want,
We asked you, didn't we? Yeah, she'll be in there too. She'll be in there.
You want her to
That will
fill
give
out
us-
a,
that will give us,
Yeah, we'll need you to fill one out. Okay, but we talked about what's.
that will,
So we will review these and we'll let you know.
so Alex said that once you have decided who you want to appoint, he will create a resolution and you would vote on that at the next meeting.
Alrighty.
and we want to do this as soon as possible to get moving ahead on this. A question come up today about the, in front of the building, trimming the bushes and everything like that. And it was said that the community building board would notify when that needs cut and trimmed and taken care of. And I agreed and said, yeah, that's where to come from.
And as soon as we do this, you will have to set a meeting for yourselves to elect the officers and read the thing that Alex makes for us and figure out what you need to do. So maybe have a meeting after we get everybody squared away here.
Well, we're gonna get on this as soon as possible. We got to get going here. We are into the, next month will be May, and it won't be too much longer, half a year will be gone. And we need to get this done as soon as possible to get moving along. And the last thing, before I open it up to the floor, I need to address, well, actually, two things. Damon, when did you have to go in to repair the sewer line? A couple of weeks ago? We had to dig up and repair a sewer line because it was plugged up. What we found in that sewer line was a children's toy, a rock, and a pipe. And I just wanted to stress, we got to be careful, especially with children, what we flush down the toilet, because that cost, you know how much that's going to cost us for that?
So far, I've gotten a bill for over $6,000, and I think there's at least 5,000 more coming. So probably 10 to 15,000.
It's going to be $10,000 to $15,000 to dig out a rock, a child's toy, and a piece of pipe. So we need to be kind of careful what goes into the sewer system. So please, anybody that's here and out there that's got children, don't let them start flushing things down the toilet. And the last thing is water meter discussion. I don't know if you know, on your water meter, there's a sensor right on top of it. And sometimes through neglect, inadvertently, I don't know what you want to call it, those break. They're $100 a sensor. How much are they? How much?
They're 130, 140.
And it depends on what part they break. There's a few pieces, so.
But to replace the full sensor is $130, and depending on bits and pieces it can cost. We had some people, how many?
4 people that were billed last year. 1 paid, the other 3 ignored their bills.
Right.
And so we sent them a warning bill this year that it would be applied to their water
Right.
bill because it directly affects their water. And so far, 1 of those has paid now, so we still have 2 outstanding.
So some of the people, and I had a very vocal person that called, didn't think that was right, or neither did they think that was fair. But the thing is that I told that individual was, if we break it, the town is responsible for it. Whether you, your company, your friends, anybody that you have over on that property, you're responsible for it. And it will be put on the water bill in payment if you don't want to come down and pay it. And here we go with summer and start mowing again, and people are going to be taking riders and more people be visiting and driving. Be careful of the sensors on top of those water meters, because if it does break and it's not our fault, that will go on the water bill for the replacement parts on it. I wanted to warn everybody again before the mowing season started again. With that, can you think of anything else before I open it to the floor? All righty. Connie, anything? Barb?
Karen.
Cass?
Brian? No. Next to Brian? No. Beth? Mike?
Here we go.
Come on up.
This is Shane.
All right, Shane. You can talk if he wants to.
He don't want to. He's just taking it all in and meeting people.
John came to our Kiwanis meeting and talked with us a little bit about Kiwanis and how we are doing things here at the park. And one of the things that we talked about was whether or not we were communicating with the board as to what we were doing.
Right.
And so you and I talked today about the mowing here at the park. And typically the Kiwanis Club is taking care of that, and we're still prepared to do that.
I was going to ask you about that, Mike. When do you sign the contract? What month?
Usually in April.
April, okay.
And we had our board of directors meeting and discussed that. And so we're ready to start with that. And what we instructed him to do is mow every 7 days.
Okay.
And when it gets a lot drier in the fall of the year, he usually goes out 10 days because it doesn't grow as much as what there. So we're prepared to do that. Second thing is the Kiwanis Club each year sponsors a youth baseball league. And we are
starting that. Typically, the practices will be starting on the 15th of April and will run through the end of July. And I would like to give the board a copy of our liability insurance.
You can give it to Gloria, please. I think you have one thing other than that too. Don't you have 20th of May, a fishing rodeo?
Yes, I think that's the date.
It is.
That will be coming up, and we'll have I've applied to our insurance company for that also.
All right.
So that hadn't come through yet. For our annual car show, is there anything additional insurance-wise that we're going to be needing to provide to the town for that?
It's the same insurance person that you have each time.
Mhm.
And you usually get it, don't you, for in case of an accident or something?
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't-
We'll stop right there since our attorney's here with us. The town's liability insurance only covers town-sponsored events, is that's what we were told, correct? This is Kiwanis, and they have their own liability insurance, and that's what we were discussing. Do they?
So, yeah, so it would normally be the case, and what I do for Columbus, I'm city attorney for Columbus, is require any vendors, any city-approved vendors to also provide a liability coverage for the city. So that would be my recommendation, that they provide you liability coverage. That sounds like he has a relationship with his insurance company, that they probably can do that as a rider to one of these other policies that he has for these events. Under the Tort Claims Tort Claims Act, the town would have a maximum liability of $2 million for each incident or accident, with an aggregate of $5 million. So those are the kind of policy limits that you want to try to get to try to cover what your liability might be in the event of catastrophic accidents or incidents.
We have pending litigations from last CARS event that's still outstanding, and I don't know what the resolution of that is going to be. So I don't know if that would play into requiring more or anything.
If one event, you may go 50 years and not have an event, and then next year you have an incident. So that's for the underwriters to determine, about what the risks are. But that would be the legal's recommendation.
Okay. That makes sense, Mike.
I just need to know what you need me to do.
I think
We'll let you know, I guess.
I think what he's talking about, the vendors that you have there, they have to have some
But
insurance.
we for the car show, we don't have vendors.
No, you don't.
Oh,
There are no
okay.
vendors.
You're
It's
just covering, you're just
because you
covering
guys-
yourself.
Yeah, you're covering
Yeah,
yourself.
so I think he'd be covered.
Yeah, I think so.
Because Kiwanis sponsors the event, they don't have vendors. Everything, the food service and everything they do
They
is
do themselves.
provided by Kiwanis. And
But it's still a separate organization, so it's considered an event that's not
Yeah,
town
but-
operated. So we probably need to get with our town insurance and find out what they would require or if we
Yes.
are covered.
And I do believe nonprofits are different than profits, aren't they?
but Mike
As
will
far
get,
as-
we'll find out.
Yeah,
from
if
our
you can
town
let us
curator.
know, then we're
Yeah.
wanting to take care of that.
Yeah.
Um,
Anything else?
I
Was,
needed to ask you something. How, you took care of the mowing question, the trash question? Is it the same as it always was? I mean, who empties the trash out here?
we have someone from our Kiwanis Club that goes around and empties the trash barrels.
Okay, I noticed that, or I brought to my attention that there was some really bad stuff here the other day for the girls that was doing that. And it has nothing to do with the trash. I think whoever did that just stuck this stuff out here and it made an awful time for us. But anyway, as long as they're emptied and you have somebody doing that, that's the only question I had.
Okay,
We never know, and I remember one time picking up a needle out here, and somebody said, don't ever do that. So I left
yeah, we find
lots of things.
quite a few
Bad
things out here in the park. The other thing that we do is we make sure that we go through the playground equipment and we have graffiti remover that we use to clean that up.
No, that's
So
good.
we try to do that
I
also.
appreciate that. I know that
Sidewalks too,
Connie
probably.
and Barb would have really, you got some of it too.
There's still,
Thank
that's,
goodness.
Yeah, if somebody tells us about it, we can use the graffiti remover to take care of that.
I know one thing we talked about too, Mike, right here, we're gonna upgrade this, security cameras too here for better resolution. When we, part of the work within the community building, we're gonna, so they crystal clear and wide angle. We can
Okay?
see everything. That's
So will
good.
you, okay, the Kiwanis Club is the one that put the security cameras up.
Right.
So will you return those to us,
Yeah,
or what are
that's
we
no
we
problem.
doing with that? So,
We'll return them to you. And
Okay.
that, and Mike appreciates you coming. We should have done this years and years ago, so we cover all the bases, so we know what exactly going on, what we're talking about. And I
well,
wish,
I ain't done yet, so.
okay, no, go ahead.
The other thing is, one of the projects that we had scheduled for this year was the concession stand and the scoring tower.
Mhm.
It is our plans that we would like to recover those because they've aged and they needed to do that. Do you have any problems with us residing those with metal?
No, I don't. And Damon, do you have,
No, I don't have a problem. I just asked him to coordinate with him before they do it.
yeah, if you would do that, that's fine.
Okay, we'll do that.
Oh, wait, that'd be an improvement. It needs done. It's showing some age.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah. it needs-
The other thing that I had and was
Sure.
wanting to ask, I got here late.
Mhm.
Had anybody from Roy Saylor's development been here for anything?
No, he's no.
Okay. He had asked me the question about the sidewalks that were or were not required for subdivisions.
Right.
And is there something in the ordinances that covers that?
Whether they will be or will not be.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm sure that there is in there.
right now, all of our requirements is based on the county ordinances. So if there's something in the county standards, we already have accepted those. As far as internally, I don't know if we have,
No.
I don't think we
I
have.
know
any
in the
sidewalk
other
ordinances.
subdivisions, they didn't require them. And it's my understanding the Area Plan Commission was needing something from the town to say whether or not they are going to require those.
Right. I would say that we will, and I'll tell you why. All the new subdivisions that you see going in Greensburg or anywhere else that's got sidewalks.
Okay. Well, the area that he was telling me that they were going to put them into, there's nothing to hook onto. There's no sidewalks adjoining it. That's why they were asking the question.
We'll find out. I'll ask Kristen.
We'll get that, and you can tell that I agree with what Joy said. Going forward, and we're starting new. I'd
I
like to
didn't know
start off
whether,
with-
with the other subdivisions, I didn't know whether the town had established what they would do
No,
or
we
wouldn't do
hadn't.
in
It
those
would be by
areas.
county ordinances is what, remember, we signed off all that years ago to the county. The county comes back to us and just like on the zoning request this evening, and see how we feel about it. But my feeling would be the same way. We have an opportunity to start off right and start
Okay.
off, and I'd like to see.
Well,
the
if you could
signage.
also look about cul-de-sacs
Okay.
in that same,
Okay.
Is he wanting to do that too?
he's not wanting to put one in because he's hoping that they will approve a road going out of that and eliminate the need for that.
Okay.
And we did tell him that he has to put in a retention.
The area plan told them that.
Okay.
And I think on what he sent me, there looks like there is a retention pond there, so.
Yeah, they said that. But and John's not here, so of course I can't speak for John, but mine, we have a golden opportunity to start a new one was started off right. And after
And we
that,
haven't even got any of that information that you have yet, so why does he not give it to us?
Evidently, he has been to area plan and they were asking for a letter from you folks to say whether or not the drawings had to show sidewalks or there because they weren't finding what they needed.
Are
So,
you acting on his behalf tonight, Mike?
looks
Should I
like,
put that in the notes?
Yes, he is.
He asked me to bring it up if he didn't make it to the meeting, so.
Okay.
to be in your behalf and is acting in agent his behalf is we want the town to
I was
go.
just asked to bring that up,
So
so,
I understand.
okay.
I won't pin you down to that, Mike.
I'm not
But-
receiving anything for that, okay?
All right, all right.
I serve on the Business Association's New Business Committee, and we were just trying to clarify that so that we can bring additional housing into the community.
Sidewalks we're in favor of, as the area plan is.
Okay.
Anything else, Mike?
Nope, well, I'll be back with other projects that we've got for the park a little later on.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Going with what the attorney said to Mike, if you guys have an event here, like, Main Street has the Christmas event, and you've got, Tammy's Tupperware and Carol's Cosmetics, are they gonna have supplemental insurance to sell their wares here? Because,
It would be whoever's hosting the event. So if it's like a Main Street event, it's possible that the Main Street group would have to say they have
We do.
liability
so the vendors
insurance.
won't have to have it.
No, I think by vendor, he just means whoever is responsible for that
I
event.
just wanna make sure
Yeah.
that,
Maybe I'm,
Yeah, Tammy's Tupperware is not gonna have,
No.
$250.
No.
Okay.
If I understand that is,
Yeah, there usually needs to be some contractual arrangement between the event host and the individual vendors, so that they can then if something, so just, some memorandum of understanding, some kind of contractual relationship of some type, so that the insurance company will say, well, I'm not covering that, because they've agreed to be parts and comply with whatever the host requirement is for the event.
let's see, Rachel, do you have anything more to say? You could have gone home. You didn't have to stay here. I didn't know it was that interesting. Any with Carol, any of your group want to say anything? Kyle? Damon? I think Damon, do you have anything? Isla? Your daughter? Nothing? You're kidding me. Danny, you're up next.
Once again, I bring it to the attention that when you guys tore the house down, they dug down 4 feet and got into my sewer line, which they said they fixed it. But what they fixed was some that Gary Phelps had in the old bathroom. When I did remodel that house, I came out with new pipes and everything
Where'd you run that new pipe to?
right into the new sewer line. I was the one that dug down and found it for them because they couldn't find it. I didn't see no reason why he had to dig 4 or 5 feet down when he tore a house down. Now that ground's all unlevel. Every time we get a big rain, it runs right down the sidewalk, right down through there, and it's washing out gullies down through there. And it's so unlevel that I can't even mow it. And the sewer is still coming out my overflow pipe by the side of the house and running down the house. For 5 months, that has not went into the sewer line. 5 months I've been paying a sewer bill that not one drop of water has gone into that sewer. It all comes down the side of my house.
So you're saying raw sewage is running out down the side of your
Right.
house?
And it's getting to be a health hazard. I tried to tell him that wasn't the pipe that they hooked into, which if he's a housing authority, he should know where the sewer lines are when they tear a house down, where the water line is and stuff like that. They didn't know nothing about my property.
Danny, did you, when you first run your connections, did you tie that in like it's supposed to be?
I tied everything was to specs. when I did that back 30 years ago.
And the town signed off on it.
Fell under the Grandfather Act. Town didn't have to sign off on it.
I'm not so,
According to the building inspector, when he came and inspected it, it fell under the Grandfather Act. I didn't have to have it written down or nothing.
and who was the building inspector?
I forget who it was back then.
From the county?
Yeah, from the
How many
county,
years ago was that?
30 years ago.
30 years ago.
Bought that
Well,
place.
they've since changed
I
since
bought
then.
that in 87. Everything was suspect. I mean,
That was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
It's not-
well, I mean, I put it in right. I didn't half-ass do it. I put everything in there just right the way it was supposed to.
Right.
So now it's running down the side of the house. It's going to get hot. It's going to start smelling
That's true.
and everything else. I told them that day that wasn't, they did not hook it back into the right one. They hooked it into some green pipe that Gary Phelps ran out of the old house from the old bathroom. When I remodeled that, I put a brand new bathroom in, ran all new lines out to the sewer line.
So what did they connect, what line did they connect into?
That one that ran into the old septic tank out there that's still sinking in all the time. So he didn't fill it up like Mark told him to when he filled it in.
Right.
Mark said, now if you break that cap, you gotta fill it in with gravel. All he did was just smash it back down.
Um,
It's just like my water meter out front. It's in my driveway
yeah,
and
some
it's
of them
still
are.
paved around, and that's been over 3 years ago.
Harry, he brought this up last meeting and John said that he would be getting with Damon and working on this, so I don't know that you guys are gonna know anymore. I don't know if Damon knows any more about it.
Yeah, we went back over there, and the pipe that we fixed was the one that, got broken. We didn't break any lid, any tank or anything that was around the property. And if this house is having issues, I'd say it's gonna probably start because it's going from that house to the old house and into the main.
It went right into the main. It didn't go into the old house, it went right into the main.
Okay, well, if he did have two lines there, I'm not sure why he's not getting two bills for two sewer lines on the same property. So
Yeah, that'd be another
Now
thing.
I've only got one house there, Damon. So now I've only got one sewer bill.
we tried to fix the line.
No, you didn't. Stood right there and watched. You didn't fix it right. You hooked it into that old pipe, Damon. You didn't fix it right. You threatened to give out tearing my other house down. I'll get it.
The thing is,
So,
the
It's
thing,
it's gonna cause problems. You guys tore it up. You had that boy tear the house down.
right,
He
Danny,
didn't have to tear down 4 feet in the ground to tear a house down.
but Danny, I don't know about, and John was the one who was handling, it, and John's not here this evening.
Well,
I'll have to dig into it and look at it myself.
but I mean, he dug down 4 feet and busted that pipe.
Danny,
If they would've just tore the house down, left the lines alone, I wouldn't have a problem right now.
Danny, this is all news to me, so I'd have to check it out myself to see what's going on.
He dug down there and he broke it out, and I showed it to him that he was tearing it out. But they went ahead and had him to do it anyway. So,
That's something I have to look into, Danny. I mean,
but I'm having problems right now with my sewer line. I mean, every time I have to flush it, I have to pump it and it goes right on the ground. Now, that's ridiculous. I've already got COPD and asthma.
Yeah, I agree.
Now I've got to spend all that all summer.
Well, that's something we're gonna have to look at and see the reason why. I don't understand, and that's right now, and Joyce doesn't either, so that's something we're gonna have to look
But
into.
when I put
Danny.
that in there, I hooked it all up right.
All right, Danny.
He didn't have to have no reason to dig down 4 feet and cut that out.
These are things that I can't answer because I don't know.
Now, is he going to come back and level my lot out? Or do I have to do that myself?
That's something we can talk about.
Because when they put that water line in, he cut down a big pyramid. I don't know why he had to cut that tree down.
I don't know, Danny, but it's something that we'll have to look into. It can't be solved right here at the town council meeting because some of it I don't know about. Some of it is news to me and your problem tonight, but all I can say is we'll just look into it and see what's going on.
But like I said, for 5 months, I paid the sewer bill that not one drop of water's went into that sewer
Well, we'll have to see the reason why.
and everything.
All righty.
So I'd like to get it fixed before long
I can understand
and
that.
everything.
All right.
Before it gets any more hotter, it's gonna start stinking
Well, I'm sure it will.
and everything. So
We'll look
I
into
try
it.
to get along with this town.
Yeah.
But, you know, you guys went behind my back and tore my big house down. And that house was in better
No.
shape than a lot of the houses around here.
No, Danny, you were warned about that.
No, I was only warned about the one that was burnt. The big house, all I had to do was, say about it,
That's
just do
good.
it.
Thank you.
We had public hearing for that entire property and there's,
We're done. There being nothing else, now unless you wanted to say anything. Oh, wait a minute, Luke, I forgot our deputy marshal back there. Luke, did you have anything to say? About the, okay. How about the person sitting next to you? Brooke, you got anything to say? I didn't want anybody to walk away from this meeting and say that they didn't get an opportunity to speak.
You want to speak, Shane? No, okay.
Well, good. Guess what? I'll entertain a motion.
Will you?
Yes, I sure will.
Kind of like everybody being here.
Oh, you liked everybody being here?
I make the motion that we adjourn for this evening.
I will second that motion. All in favor? Aye. And thank everybody for coming.
Here, come here, sweetie.